It is 8:30, it's time for the weekly meeting of the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors. We have an agenda in front of us. Are there any additions, corrections, deletions?
Under items note C, Mitchell County Economic Development Commission audit. Just got to bring along and we mentioned some things.
I have nothing else to add. I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda. Second.
It's been moved and second. Further discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. County Attorney General discussion. Good morning.
What would you like from me?
Everything.
Other than that contract that Lowell sent me, which I haven't had a chance to look at yet, but I thought that was one you guys had approved already.
I seen that come through the other day and I got all kinds of red all over it.
One came yesterday from Bob.
So who's supposed to be looking at that?
We are.
Haven't you got 21 county attorneys looking at it? What are we gonna get?
21 different opinions.
Okay. I'm staying on.
I guess the thing is, Bob's your employee.
Yeah.
He's the one who drafted it up. He's done good work in the past. If Bob says that's what we need, that's what we need.
That's my feelings.
That's
Bob Lincoln.
what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
You just said Bob. We
Oh,
were sure.
I'm just clarifying it for the
Yeah.
books here.
No, we got a meeting tomorrow, so maybe we'll know more about it, so.
Well, it looked to me like most of the changes were just, well, I'm sure legally they needed to be made, but most of the changes were just,
I think there are changes that are in relation to what the legislature
Yeah.
done. So,
there's really nothing substantive that changed. It's just,
change the words around.
yeah.
Confuse everybody. But, yeah.
Other than that, I don't have any. Trial starts next Tuesday, so
What's that now?
it's clarity.
Judge Drew based out for
No, he moved it down there and changed things.
versus.
His office is in Mason City.
Oh, it
He's
is in
from
Mason City.
Hampton, but he wanted to get it far enough south.
Yeah, I knew there was a change of venue, but I just wondered where his office was.
So everybody's getting driving.
Sure.
So do they select the jury from here and take them down there, or they
No.
get the jury from down there?
Yeah, the jury down there, that's the theory. You don't want the jurors down up here who have heard about it, read about it in the paper, seen it under. What's that?
Thought it'd be the peers.
But if the defendant makes it's his
Oh,
request.
he's request, all right.
Yeah, I can't request it.
Okay.
The defendant can.
Nice article, editorial in the Globe this morning supporting ATVs.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Well, they haven't been a problem that I know of.
And they're front page of the Des Moines Register today because they're trying to pass it, statewide. But,
It's just another form of transportation, and the state never wanted to deal with it.
Kind of forced their hand.
Yeah. Pushing them into.
I don't know, I kind of liked what they did. I know you didn't like it, but I think the way they just opened it up to counties and said, do what you want to do.
Oh, no, that's fine.
That's because they didn't want the liability. Mike Lindsay.
Yeah, they're playing catch-up. To the 5 or 6 counties that already went ahead and did it. Across the states.
I just thought that, the state should have done it sort of on uniform, instead of every county being different. They'll probably do that eventually.
Of course, I like the way they did it because I don't think you necessarily want the same rules in Polk County as you do in Mitchell County. So I think,
Probably true.
so I know we're always saying, don't tell us what to do, let us, and then they say, okay, go ahead and do what you want. You say, well, we don't want the liability.
Yeah.
But I think you do want a different set of rules in different counties. So
Yeah, I mean, we don't have that
that's
much
why it's good.
population here, but they have there.
The only thing I don't like is when cities can say no and we don't have a place to get gasoline. I mean, you basically should have access, to be able to at least gas up and get back.
Just strap a jury can from the back and fill her up.
Well, my luck, I'd tip it over, the thing that leaked in the muffler.
They could designate a road to and from
They should, I mean,
the.
cities should be willing to do
They did
that.
with snowmobiles. And of course, snowmobiles never popular,
If there's nothing else for county attorney
but. Well, I
Watt,
can't think of anything.
5-minute recess. If you would, please.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep.
I'll look at the claims.
Sure. They're all mixed up.
Yeah. Why do they do that? Just to confuse us?
Hit the wrong button. Maybe they're alphabetical.
Yeah,
Yep.
kind of almost looks that way, doesn't it?
Everything's alphabetical.
But when they go from, now they go to advanced systems, that's
Yeah, those are
county services, and then down here you got home health, and then you got the sheriff, and then you got home health.
Usually they're, yeah, so they're invited.
Have a talk with them again, because I know this was a kind of a new program here a while back, and then I said, we can't do it that way. And they,
I think about it.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, by department, because it's so confusing.
that's some of those you're not gonna know what department they're on.
That's true too.
And some of it's,
You know, here's
That's court.
Dungy's furniture. Did you get new living room furniture?
no, no, the court's got,
Oh, that's of course.
that's,
New
that
furniture,
still
yeah.
bugs me.
Yeah, here it is on this side. Yeah.
That's the new thing. The squares.
That's what,
Why couldn't they have something like this for a lot
Oh,
less?
that's all.
that's what Deidre said yesterday. They got her new furniture.
That's, the new way is to make it carpet squares, and that way if you have an accident, it's a couple squares get one, you just change out the squares.
Mhm.
Furniture, carpet, and tile.
Very rigid. They could have done it for $10 a yard less.
Yeah.
That's my beef.
Yeah, like at the CRC, they put in the large 3-foot squares. That's what you're pretty much doing in most places
Right.
because it makes it easier to replace if there's a problem as opposed to trying to match up seams and having a giant.
Why would
Run
you have a
between-
problem in a small room like what they did?
Yeah, here it's furniture,
They could have got
carpet,
by with cement.
carpet and
All
tile.
it is
Under
just
$1,700. Under $1,700 carpet and
Yeah.
tile.
We'll move out and then they'll have all that there.
Yeah. Maybe we could jump to number
Sure. Item 4. Understand
We need
that,
a new member to the Board of Health. David Beckton had resigned a couple months ago, and I called Jeannie Watts here to see if she'd volunteer. She's a legal retired RN from Mitchell County Hospital.
She wants.
Watts, W-A-T-T-S.
Okay.
you want to give a little background on why you're going to be the most wonderful person we've ever had on the board?
I've been a nurse.
Don't you just hate people like
Yes,
me?
I've been a nurse for 46 years now. I took 17 years off while my children were at home yet, so I've been back to nursing for about 25 years. Worked at Mitchell County for 25 years. I am still working as needed there
PRN.
when I want to. Basically, I worked in an emergency room. That's where most of my experience is. Served on several committees while I was a nurse at the hospital, quality and risk management committees. And I served on a negotiating team for our nurses contract, many points.
Anybody have any questions?
No, I'm just really happy that I can't
And
believe
I'm really interested in being on it, and I'd like to
it's
Yeah,
continue
and
with my.
I would ask you if you could go to the home health office and talk to the director down there, Levon Wolf. She'll probably have a 3-ring binder for you.
Okay.
I should give her a call, but you can just stop down there if you would.
Today or anytime?
Anytime. And I'll talk to you first.
Is there a conflict of interest at all that I am still employed at the hospital?
I don't think so,
believe
because Dr. Ross is on the Board of Health too. I'll make a motion to appoint Jeannie Watts to the Board of Health.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved in second. Further discussion? No, I think there's a lot of opportunities that can be presented to actually reduce health costs, you know, for citizens of the county and that. And so the only thing that I would suggest is that don't be afraid to be proactive, don't be afraid to be aggressive, don't be afraid to think outside the box. I mean, that's really, this is why in the 12 years I've been on the board here, I think why Mitchell County has really gained in a lot of areas is because the same thing. I mean, we've been proactive here, we're willing to take some calculated risks in that, and it's paid off. And so that would be my only comment. Don't be afraid, you know, don't be hesitant. Any other comments?
Do you have an email address at home?
Yeah.
You can just write it down.
Write it down for you. Okay.
Here, I'll tell you what, I'll just give you my card and then you can email me with it. And then I'll be in touch with you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, Morale.
Aye.
Copeland.
Aye.
Watt, aye, motion carried. Welcome aboard. Item 3.
Thank you very much, Jeannie.
Thank you.
Yep.
Item 3, floodplain discussion and possible action.
What were we, they said they want levy for taxes and then they came out with a paper that said they wanted to,
Well, this was really a different.
or is that a totally different issue?
I think it's a totally different issue, and this was a statewide push by the statewide organization, and what we had discussed last week, and I have mixed emotions on it, is part of what the rural people are saying is part of the water problems are not just coming from us, but they're also coming from like the cities here, where you have more and more of your ground under concrete or under roof and this and that, and so the water has to basically run off faster also because it can't soak in. Well, they're not paying anything into it. Should they be paying something into it? And so, I mean, that's really where it.
I can understand that, but if somebody has a house that's, say, valued at $250,000 and they're levied X number, the levies a certain amount off of that, and somebody has 1,000 acres of land out here, I don't know if that's gonna, if that same levy's gonna equal out.
And I don't know what the levy was, I mean, but I can see why they're saying what they are, but yet again, on the other hand, like you say, it's,
Yeah.
I don't know if it goes by valuation or if it goes by acres, you know, that you pay so much.
Yeah.
So if you're only a 1/4 of an acre.
That'd be more fair, you know, if you have a lot here in town, it'd be proportional to your lot, not your
Yeah.
your
I think it needs
assessment.
to go back to conservation practices. Can't be running your tile line right directly into the river. You know,
Well, that-
and then wonder why it floods.
Well, that's the thing, we're dealing with symptoms and not the cause.
Right.
You know.
And then if you drive along the rural roads, a lot of the fences along the road ditch are gone, and now it looks like the wing of the disc drops over the side, and so now we're almost farming the back slope, and every time it rains, there's more of that dirt sliding into our ditch, which Rich, you attested to last week, saying, you know, we could have a guy running the excavator all summer long just cleaning ditches.
Yeah, I know, just,
And then they wanna assess me on my rural property. I have a lawn that's on most of my property, and the water does not run off that. Yeah, I'll say the streets do, but out to the city of Osage, we have a retention pond just north of this facility here. I mean, and then by the bowling alley, there's that, you know, the old trestle and the, you know, holds water back there. I mean, it's,
Well, really though, Joe, tile isn't the problem, because by the time the tiles start running, the big rains have already hit the river and whatnot. I mean, it's really more of the farming practices. I mean, to that extent, you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
but tile really isn't the
Go by a
problem.
cornfield in the summertime, what's growing? Corn and dirt,
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, it's row crop farming, the water doesn't,
well, straightening all these creeks that used to meander, that would,
Right.
you know, you drive down, you don't see that many meandering creeks anymore. It's straight.
And they've
Yeah,
even
they-
straightened the waterways. if you
That's what
notice.
they do.
right in the waterways.
Yeah. So, it's a big problem, but I think they're looking, I don't know what they plan on doing. I mean,
Well, right now, let's them just defer any action.
yeah, that's my feeling. Let's just wait and see how everything,
And I guess I'd like to know quite a bit more, like I say, if they were, I really don't have necessarily a problem if they're going by acres.
Yeah, I would just, you know, if it's a valuation, that could be a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Because if I could, per acre, I'd pay a lot more property tax and per acre than somebody that's got 800 acres out here. You know, they pay $25 an acre, I'm paying $500 an acre, you know, so.
did it say it was ad valorem?
Who?
Ad valorem, or something like that? At the value.
Oh.
That's what that, I looked it up yesterday, Stan, we run across that, and I thought,
Brushing up on your Latin.
yeah, Latin, that's what that means, at the value,
At the value.
Okay.
so.
Is everybody comfortable with this?
Shut that off.
It's got a mind of its own.
Now watch, I'll forget to turn it back on, and oh, there's 10 calls.
Everybody comfortable with just
Let's just
leaving it right now?
watch.
Yep. Okay, Richie isn't here yet. Item 6, approve the minutes.
We got 2 sets or one?
Just one.
One set this time, yeah. I guess that's another 2 pages.
I'll make a motion to approve these minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Volkman.
Aye.
Morel.
Aye.
Walk. Aye. Motion carried. Approve the claims.
I haven't really looked at them yet.
Why don't we take 5, 7 minutes and by that time Richie should be coming in and we'll get that done.
I'm going back to Africa in August. Well, they finally, after they've gone through the election process and everything, things I guess have calmed down enough that the minister that I went with before is going back again and trying to get some people from some places to go, and so he emailed me. I've been emailing him for a while, and things weren't working out and working out, and finally things seem to be working out. So.
Well, you know who's there right now, Paula Meyer. Kurt's wife is there at a health, they have a health camp for the children they support. And so she wouldn't have gone, she canceled going before.
Right.
So it must be fine. Oh, aren't you
Yeah.
excited? So
Yeah,
what day are you going?
August the 14th to the 30th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's about 2.5 weeks again.
Oh, wow.
So I need to speak with her when she gets back, because my plan is, everybody's leaving on the 15th, I was gonna leave on the 14th to get there a day ahead, because I planned on going back to the school that I went to before, and doing a follow-up visit with the little girl that I met, and see if she's still in school and how she's doing, and go visit her mother again and see how her mother's doing, and go back to her house and kind of do a follow-up with the school, 2.5 years later, how things are going, what's
Now,
going
be
on.
sure you meet with Paula too, because she can fill you in on,
Yeah, I was gonna call her and
I don't know when she's coming back.
make arrangements, 'cause to work with the guy that's there to make arrangements, try to get that worked out is what I was wanting to talk to her about. Now that I know it's definitely gonna happen. Peter, that guy Peter who oversees.
Oh, are you trying to get your little girl into that school, or is that?
No. I just need to talk to Paula to make arrangements with him that he can pick me up and drive me around and all that kind of stuff, all the
great.
logistics kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then I wanted and see that if that girl's still in school or not, because if she ended up dropping out of school, then it won't make any difference. So. So, that's
Can you get the squares?
the plan.
Well, that is really exciting.
I'm gonna be writing a few new articles for the paper for the
That'll be
Globe
interesting
again.
too.
Yes.
I wish we could get a foreign student from there. Paula thought of that, to get one from St. Ansgar or Riceville. How's your foreign student?
Good. Yeah.
Is he gonna get to stay this summer?
No, he leaves June the 13th, I believe,
Oh.
is when he leaves, when the program ends. So he has a month after graduation.
So does, is he gonna try to go to university in the United States?
He wants to go to University of Minnesota.
Oh. Why?
Because it's close. It's close to Iowa, and he has so many friends that he's made here. He
Right,
wants to come back.
how about the University of Iowa then?
Well, I think he wants to be a lawyer.
There's nothing wrong with Iowa's law school, or Drake's.
Yeah. I don't know, for some reason he was looking at University of Minnesota.
There might be more people from, I mean, it's a much bigger school than Iowa, and so there might, well, be more people from Lebanon. It's just twice as big as Iowa.
Yeah. So he's thinking about that.
Now, is he graduating?
From Riceville, but he has one more year of school at home in
At
Lebanon.
home.
Because he turned 17 this summer. So. He took the ACT test a couple weeks ago.
And he did really, really
I
well.
imagine so. Imagine so.
I have to find out how Tommy Randall did. I have to call him. I wish he'd go to Luther or something like that. Your boy.
Oh, yeah, no, he's, that seems to be what he said on. I haven't talked to him again, see if he's changed his mind, but of course I don't know if he's talked with his parents about that or not too. That could be his idea. And
Yeah, but that's wonderful. I don't blame him, because there will be many more people who speak Arabic and French and Romanian, and I mean, he speaks lots of different languages,
Right,
so
right.
it'll be more diverse, and he can,
yeah. So that's what he's thinking. Then he thought if he went to school in Minnesota, he wanted to be a speech judge in Iowa. He said, like speech much, he wants to be a certified speech judge in Iowa. And I said, well, that's, you can do that, but I don't know if you have to have a residency or if they just
display
like.
cases in the
Doesn't cost you
courthouse.
much.
And so I did write Kevin, and he said, yeah, that was a good idea. Even on all 3 floors, you could have some that could be permanent and some changeable and empty,
So
so.
commons area there, or
Mhm.
some cases on the wall.
So I don't know what's going on. But he's interested in doing that.
Any handwritten?
No.
We have speech. We have a thing Saturday night for senior speech students. It's kind of a senior
Oh, did he
farewell.
say he wasn't gonna
So
be here?
I don't think Rich is going to be here today.
I was just thinking of that, he said that last week he wasn't gonna be here.
Oh, okay.
You got that?
Well, he's supposed to send
Alex
his
is-
assistant to.
Alex is going to give a
Well,
speech
okay.
about being in
Tell me
speech,
to
and it's been
remember.
late for him. Saturday night.
I'm so glad you did what you did for him. I think that's
Good for
going to
him.
save on people being bored.
I know.
Well, let's request it next time. Can't be here, I'll send your assistant over. Pick on him a while.
Yeah.
Well, he never did speech.
He came
Most of
once or
speech
twice.
there, so speech
Yeah,
has
it's
been
been a
a
long
big thing,
time.
because most of his friends are in speech.
Yeah,
Okay, the claims.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
I'll second.
Been moved and second, further discussion. Hearing none, Morel.
Aye.
Bothlander.
Aye.
Well, okay, motion carried. Approved recorder's quarterly report of fees collected. County share was $18,782.68, not a bad.
Well, I guess we keep her around.
That's right. She basically makes wages.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the recorder's quarterly report.
Second.
Been moved and second, further discussion. Hearing none. Bothlander.
Aye.
Morel.
Aye.
Clock. Aye, motion carried. Target for
Just to make a note though, that part of that is the auditors too.
I know. Note that in the minutes. Part of that is the auditors too.
Outside of $600 for photos, $2,095, auditor transfer fees, $685, so.
You call it the auditor and recorder's report.
You don't want to say the
Aye.
comments you need yesterday. Okay, that's all.
Make sure we make that change in the. Okay, targeted case management department update.
She was supposed to come.
About 9:30.
Okay. Meetings attended.
You want a list? Want me to go through them?
Go ahead. I had several to sign this book here.
Okay. Last Tuesday evening, we had the FMC landfill meeting. That was normal. Well, actually, it was full board meeting. We meet 4 times a year. We approved a new maintenance contract for our compactor with Ziegler, 2 years, 3,000, or 3 years, or $2,000, whichever comes first. That was about $10,000, but we feel that's a good, the machine will be worth more because Ziegler's been taking care of it. And okay, that was that. Then we went to the workforce development meeting on Thursday. And that evening, the workforce development, we approved the new service Region 2 development services plan. And I haven't had time to read through all this yet, but anyway, we approved it. It's been in the works for probably 6 months to develop this. And that was the gist of that meeting. Friday, went down to North Iowa Juvenile Detention Services. That meeting down there, we approved the treasurer's report. North Iowa Juvenile Detention is still in the black. The Adult Stabilization Crisis Services, they're planning to expand them to possibly, there'll be points throughout the 21 counties where folks can be admitted. Somebody from the detention will pick them up, and I shouldn't say detention because it's really not a stabilization center. We'll pick them up, and so anyway, that was that meeting. We're gonna drop the community services part of our program down there because they send somebody to pick up these kids. They're supposed to do community service. Well, we have to pay for the transportation, and there's nobody there. They don't show up, so they told we talked to the judges down there and said they're no longer going to do the community service aspect, and so don't sign them up for community service. I guess they're juvenile, they call those people that take care of the juveniles, juvenile court oh, there's a name for it. They have a list of all the kids that are in juvenile detention, or juvenile.
Probation officers?
Well, yeah, they're kind of that way, but they call them something else. Oh, I can almost say it. Anyway,
Counselors?
yeah, they're kind of that way. It's what Carlson, Dave Carlson used to be over at Mason, you know.
He's been in meetings.
Yeah, anyway. So that was that meeting. And then we had an executive board meeting at Prairie Ridge. That we went over there. We discussed the Accountable Care Act, how it's possibly going to impact Prairie Ridge. And they're real concerned about that. They feel the governor should sign, you know, go with the Medicaid part, you know, to insure all these extra people, because under Medicaid they would have services for, you know.
I agree with that too. I don't, that Iowa Care is
Serious flaws, Josh.
good if you live next to the hospital, but if you gotta come from western Iowa and go to Iowa City just to get care, that, you know, it's ridiculous, especially for people who are, sometimes both members of the family are unwell and
Probably
can't make the trip. You know.
Probably something in Sioux Falls would be a.
They should be, yeah, they should be able to go to anywhere to get the care,
Right, and
and
then,
Medicaid reimbursement.
so then we also toured the facility over there. We're doing a lot of remodeling, painting, tile, remodeling the bathrooms, and putting down Lowell's favorite carpet. And it looks real nice. I mean, that's, you know, it's, so that was that meeting. Then from there, last night we had a Mitchell County Economic Development meeting, and we had a presentation from a gentleman, I forget what his first name was Mark, I can't remember his last name, and I forgot his business card, it was at home. But it's called Flat Rock, and what they do is that it's similar to GIS mapping. He gave us a presentation. Right now, to do GIS mapping, I think Richie said this too, that, you know, you can go out and, okay, we have a sign here, and you have this handheld whatever, and you press that, and that, but that handheld thing can be as much as $8,000–10,000. Well, what they've got, smartphone, go out, same thing, take it, it's right there, and goes back, and it gets added to the layers, you know, however you want to do it. Not only that, but the cities are looking at this, and they have, up in Minneapolis, some of the cities up there are using it. They can, anybody can go out, well, there's a big pothole here, they take a picture of it, send it to the city. Now they've got a picture of the problem, they do a work order, send it out, the guy gets it on his laptop or whatever, and so when they get done fixing it, they take a picture of it, send it back, now you got it before and after, and it's a, I think it's kind of a good way of, you know,
Well,
keeping
along
on
those
top.
lines, every time we get a call, I mean, I realize you probably don't hardly ever get those, but
Right.
I had one here again 2 weeks ago that we had a culvert issue on Dancer. And so you call up either Richie or you call Merlin. Merlin has to go out, take a look at it, and decide what needs to be done before, like you say, and if you had smartphones, I mean, any of those operators could take a picture of it, send it in, the office would exactly, I mean, Richie would know, Merlin would know, whatever, I mean, that could be a...
Even anybody from the public that had a phone like yours, I mean, you can send that information through to
Yeah.
secondary roads. I mean, that would come in on their screen. Oh, God, we've got a problem here.
Yeah.
The bridge is gone. You know, I mean, well, don't laugh, that's happening.
And after 2 weeks, we'll figure out what to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, so, I mean, but she wanted to know, she'd mentioned last night that maybe we could get a FEMC grant and possibly try that through the economic development, try it for all the cities, and she kind of wanted to know what everybody thought, and I said, well, I'd have to talk to Rich, because that's kind of his department, if it's anything that would work for him. And that's the way everybody said too. I mean, they just take it back and talk to, like Paul said, he talked to St. Asker, and, you know, But I know Jerry at the city here is meeting with this guy today to look at that, and OMU is gonna be there, and so that was kind of an interesting part of the meeting last night, and other than that, it was, you know, she told of all she'd been doing, you know, visiting with the industries, and that was pretty much it. Things are still 3 balls in the air, you know. That was, it seems like there was something else. Oh, went to the forum on Saturday at Stacyville. That was kind of nice. It was a nice forum.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd say there's about, what, 15 people there?
Oh, more, they're
Yeah.
about 21.
Yeah, I had to sit up front, because all the seats in the back were taken.
It's like church.
It's the first time we've had it in the 4 different cities, and it's worked out really terrific.
You see people that you don't normally see at the same spot all the time,
Mhm.
you know, and I think
That's right.
next year I'll to try and make all of them, I think.
Good idea.
Anyway, that was my meetings.
Good. Yeah, last Tuesday afternoon, I had a Metro County Wellness Committee meeting.
Yeah,
We discussed the financial report. We have about $400 left in the balance. Of course, the year ends here. Wellmark wants to get on a calendar year rather than the fiscal year, so we're gonna have a shortened time frame to be from July through November for the next session, and then starting January 1st to 14, and be on a calendar year. They had 28 people finish the 10-week Live Healthy Iowa Challenge. We had more discussion on whether or not we want to continue to belong to this for the insurance discount. You have to have 50% participation to get a 2% reduction in our insurance premium. And they have taken away the preventive incentive and going more to activities for the challenge, and people just don't get too excited about going to an activity. So try to get 50% of our employees to participate to get a 2% reduction, which is a little over, $12,720. But we've got employees that are working on those wellness committee on county time. Barb Jeffries and Janelle Adams, they're both quite involved in this program, which is good, but they're on county time, so is our effort worth the reward? So this,
can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Is there an incentive for people to get on the wellness?
Yeah, there are. They're not entirely. They've changed the program so you get $75 for each for 2 activities they participate in.
Well, I know some places you have a health assessment every year, mandatory. You get a blood draw, you get the whole works, you go, they weigh you, and then they look at you.
School's done that for quite some time.
Okay.
The Osage school, I know, has.
Yeah,
So now
I
you've
think
got-
Wallace's and Tops, they have a program too, but it's a little different. If they participate, they get a reduction in their insurance premium. The employees do, so it's really it's really a motivating factor to do that.
Right, well, if you were gonna have
But
to
it's
pay.
different here
if you were gonna have
because-
to pay $20 a month more and continue in your lifestyle, or make changes and get that $20 reduction, maybe that's something, we have a hard time getting everybody to get their physical.
Oh, I know.
It's free,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, so if they don't get it, well then suddenly maybe their insurance ought to be 5% more.
Well, that's something that could be discussed.
I like the idea of doing the health assessment.
We talked about the county dropping this and just have the county do a screening, blood pressure, cholesterol.
Maybe something in health to do.
Yeah, they could. I don't know what they charge. They do it for Wallace and Tops, and I think Green Millers, and I'm not sure if they do it for anybody else, but they do quite a bit of that every year.
The other thing, I just want to mention this too, I talked to Pam Wymore, because this came up when I was at that Prairie Ridge meeting, and because I know that county over there is self-insured.
Chickasaw?
No, Cassuth.
Okay, Chickasaw's self-insured.
They pay the single, they pay the family. And along with medical, they get dental. The single policy is $430 a month. The family is $1,025. They got $3.5 million in their fund balance. She said, we've been trying for 8 years to get that down, still can't.
Why would you want?
Well, I mean, they just
I mean,
feel
you need
they'd
to-
like to get it down below 3 million.
Chickasaw's got the other problem, they haven't.
Right, and she said, and their stopgap is at $35,000. Their policies are basically a $250 policy, out of pocket each year. I says, I'd like to see more of your information. She said she's gonna get it for me.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is coming up with that, getting that
She said when they decided to go that route, they
escrow account.
put money away prior to going full bore. I mean, they set money aside each year to build this account
Yeah.
first. And I don't think today you can get by with less than $1 million in your reserve. I mean, they're talking they'd like to get below 3 million. So that telling me they want 2.5 million, you know, a couple of 3 bad cases, but then you get, and then after that, part what they administer, Wellmark takes over from there. So I was really interested, and I thought, you know, I would share with you
It's
guys.
something to look at. I know Chickasaw's kinda got the opposite problem. They're self-funded too, but I don't know.
We looked at
What's
the
their
company a couple
stopgap?
years
They
ago.
haven't been funding it right or what?
Is their stopgap too high and their reserves too low, and
Well, I suppose they weren't keeping the reserves up with inflation.
They've got a lot of claims now with the older employees, I suppose.
Yeah, we looked at it a couple of years ago, and it was gonna cost us
a lot more.
more than what we had, so there was no point of going further with it.
Yeah, we had the people from Decorah and one guy
That's where they were
from Mayo.
out of.
from down.
I only have follow from Mason City too.
And the thing about the landfill, they want, there's somebody that wants to bid the insurance out there for them. But if you look at the claims we have out there, well, we don't have any, and for one thing, they're all in their late 20s, early 30s. So yeah, these people are exactly the people that insurance companies want,
Sure.
you know. But anyway, I just wanted to, when you talk about wellness, I thought it was.
Yeah, that's a good, good thing to look into. The thing too is the ISAC or Wellmark, they want to push the work onto the counties. They want the counties to send out the
Take over more.
W-2s or 1099s and all that stuff too. So it's going to put more work on us to get less money. And Brad Holton is going to call the auditor's office to have a
He was
discussion.
here a couple of weeks ago.
Pardon?
He was here,
He was here already?
yeah.
Not since last Tuesday though.
No, not since he was here at the beginning of the month, when gal from Wellmark was here that Tuesday morning.
Yeah, and then some of the employees complained because the incentive goes on your W-2 as income, so you're paying tax on a gift, which I disagree with, but some people don't like that, so they said they're not gonna participate in the program anymore. But anyway, he'll probably be calling, then last Wednesday, I believe it was, had the North Iowa Vocational Center Public Relations and Marketing Committee meeting. Continue to focus on the mission and form new partnerships. One of the new partnerships was with the Mason City Public Library. The NIBIC employees took over the coffee shop there, and they've called it Java Works. And I guess that's going quite well. Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning projects now completed. I haven't seen the bill for that yet, but it's very comfortable in there. The net income is continuing to improve over last year. Sales are down a little bit in the portables stores. They can always use more donations, contributions. The coffee shop in the affordable store has been transferred over from, it was Marv's Coffee Shop, I don't know his last name. It transferred over to Nivik. Nivik's gonna run their own coffee shop in their own store. And gonna keep the stores closed on Monday yet. And pickup and delivery remains to be a continued challenge. All kinds of stuff here. The work center, the assembly and packaging work levels are under budget and 17% under last year. Got a big order from Sukup Manufacturing. It's picked up quite a bit in the last few weeks. Doing a lot of packaging for research/ag data. It's a literature fulfillment and plot sign management project. They're doing all the packaging of literature for of ag products for this company. Got janitorial contracts with Curry's, Graham, and several of the churches in the area. Wood shop, the sales are 5% up, but the cost of materials are also 5% over the budget. Curry's Manufacturing is forecasting a 5% increase in their business. Let's see, they've year-to-date placements. They've placed made 60 placements year-to-date. That's placing Nivik people into a work program where they can be employed. And they're developing a new partnership with Cargill. The Dancing for the Dream at the Surf Ballroom was a big success. I've got a video of that if anybody want to watch it. They raised over $26,000. That was the Nivik meeting. Last night I went to Riceville for the Riceville Community Club meeting, and it was a short meeting. Discussed some of the grant programs. They received a $100 grant from Omnitel, but they were denied the Alliant grant. They don't do brick and mortar, I guess, and they're still working on the Walmart grant. They had 55 kids in for the Easter egg hunt, and they're getting some free coverage and travel and leisure guide through the, I believe it's the Des Moines Register, getting coverage of over 506,000 homes. And then just a little discussion on the Wapsie Day update. Those are my three.
Our CSS meeting tomorrow is at Nivik. Our CSS meeting tomorrow is at Nivik.
Oh, you're gonna use your office space?
Well, I don't know, we'll probably have to use the cafeteria.
Yeah. How many people you have? Yeah, that might be a little.
I don't know how he's gonna do it.
The boardroom might be a little cramped.
Probably stay for lunch. They'll probably stay for lunch.
What time's your meeting?
Well, 10 o'clock, but it only gets over at noon.
Oh, yeah, yeah, they have cafeteria there. So it's good. We had goulash and yoplait yogurt and garlic bread. That was good.
Well, I went down to talk to Steve Bass last week about seeing if they could do expansion of welding, because apparently talking to Brenda, like McNeilius over at Riceville, said they could expand their production in that. They have opportunities, but they can't find the welders. And so apparently state law, again, doesn't allow like schools to have adult programs, and it.
We always used to, years ago.
Shoot ourselves in the foot every day we turn around, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, every time that there's something, I mean, why we can't do anything and why this can't work, but then we holler that we don't have any, but Steve was gonna try to look into it. And then on Friday I went to the forum in Northwood. They had a few more people this time, but it lasted almost 2 hours. And good conversation with Josh Burns again about this situation, and so at least he was made aware of it. Again, Josh is getting very upset with the governor from the standpoint that the governor isn't willing to really work on the road enhancement funds. And
I have to come up with something because the vehicle's getting more miles per gallon, and the road tax based on gallons, you know, that's gonna go this way. And our cost for the roads is going this way, so you've gotta,
I'd like to know what they do with all the money.
I don't know.
I mean, they get 60% of the money and they have less than 10% of the roads.
Yeah, and then, you know, you buy your tags every year. You know, that's a chunk of change too, for that many vehicles on the road. And then,
Yeah, and our tags are high here.
yeah,
Mine was $191 on a 2004.
yeah.
And my daughter lives in Rochester and hers was $54. So I'm almost four times higher than Minnesota.
Is their gas tax a little higher than
Their
ours?
gas tax is higher, but their gasoline at the pump is it's usually about the same as it is here.
Yeah, maybe a
So
couple cents.
so it's the oil companies or the gas companies eating the difference. That's why I always said, put your tax in there. You know, put it in there. People are only gonna pay so much for a gallon of gas, and when they stop buying it, then the oil companies have to drop the price. It's just supply and demand. It's just simple.
Well, that was my meetings. In any event, I'd like to be able to get Amy
Yeah.
Folkers down here. I forgot that.
Oh,
I'm getting,
sure.
Getting a lot of calls on the assessments.
I have a question for her
And,
too.
yep, I'm just gonna come and get you.
Oh, you were?
You bet.
Okay.
Oh, don't sit back there.
All
I
right.
want to be able to get my hands around your neck.
Yeah, yeah. You and everybody else. Okay, you wanted me to discuss the increase in valuations
Sure.
for Mitchell County. And I'm going to start with talking about the agricultural land, because I'm guessing that that's probably one of the biggest questions on everybody's mind. What happened is that agricultural land is assessed based on productivity and not market value. The state of Iowa has a formula that they use, and it's a 5-year average. And in the formula, some of the things that go into the formula would be the income from the different types of crops. You know, you have your corn and beans and oats, wheat, hay, that type of thing. And then the income from acres that are in government programs, and income from tillable and non-tillable pasture, and also other acres, which would be like timber, any income that farmers may receive from those acres. And then the expenses, which are adjusted to each county, and that would be the cost of production for the crops. Then there's a fertilizer cost adjustment, the liability insurance expense, and then they subtract out the real estate taxes. So that's what goes into the expense side of the formula. Now, I know that the input costs have increased. That would be on the, yes.
What you just said, are those the input costs that we're talking about, or not?
The input, yeah, the expenses, the input costs, what it costs to produce the crops.
Seed fertilizer,
Right.
diesel fuel.
Right, exactly, all of that.
Machinery, whatever.
Those costs have increased, however, the income or the gains have exceeded the increase in the input costs. And so the state of Iowa increased on average 42%. That was the statewide average increase.
Expense increase,
No, the increase in the
productivity.
productivity.
Income over expenses.
Right. Now, in Mitchell County, the increase was 51%. Okay,
Was it what in Mitchell County?
51.
51%.
Now, the state of Iowa also has a 4% limitation on how much value can increase. and that's per class of property. So agricultural property can only increase in value 4% statewide. So that's where the rollback comes into play. And I am predicting that the rollback in 2013 will be, I'm estimating 45%, I'm actually rounding to 45%. So what that means is that the difference in taxable value from 2012 to 2013 is an increase of 13%, not the 51% assessment increase. It's going to be a 13% increase in the taxable value. And I have a handout if you would like. We're also including or passing out this information out of my office as well. And would anyone else here like one? And basically what it shows is the valuation of agricultural land per CSR point for 2000. There you go. For 2000.
Here, I'll give her mine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. For 2011 and 12 versus 2013. And that's the bottom half of the page would be the value per acre, and again, this is assessed valuation, not market value, but assessed value. The top half of the page compares the assessed value to the taxable value between 2012 and 13. And then on the very right, again, you can see that the difference is approximately 13% of an increase from 2012 to 13 taxable value.
You get all these numbers from the Department of Revenue?
The Department of Revenue gives me the productivity value that we are supposed to be at per acre. But this includes the agricultural land and outbuildings. And that does come to me from the Department of Revenue, yes.
Okay, how about residential? Does that come from the Department of Revenue?
Residential is market value. So residential is not from the Department of Revenue, no.
It's based off of sales?
That is based off of local sales, that is correct.
Okay. How about commercial property?
Commercial property is also market value,
Okay.
that is correct.
How about industrial property? Must hit them all.
You know, commercial and industrial property, we really, I guess, would be included with the commercial property. Industrial property, we really don't really get equalizations on, so.
Okay, then residential and ag. Now, we know they're tied together.
Right.
They can only increase 4%.
That is correct.
So then that rollback is applied to residential the same.
Well, the residential rollback and the agricultural rollback are not the same, no. They're both limited to the 4% increase statewide. However, that's per class.
Right.
Right, so the residential rollback does not equal the agricultural rollback.
But it's equal at 4%.
They're equal at 4%, that
Right.
is correct.
That's what
Yeah, that is
But
correct.
here's where the fly in the ointment comes in, Joel. Back in 2003 or 2004, I don't know if you're real familiar with those years, we had two highly productive years going off of the productivity formula. Two disastrous years went on, and basically values for ag dropped 17% or 19%, where residential didn't drop at all in value. And so even though you had, like you say, the rollback then wasn't adjusted the same at all for
Right.
the residential as it was for the,
Well, it should have dropped 18%, same as the rest.
no. So, you know, and so then really what happened was property taxes shifted from the agricultural to the residential, commercial, industrial, because of the difference in the rollback.
Right. And
They use 5 years for the productivity.
they do, and that is a good point, Stan. And the 2 years that came off were 2005 and 2006. And those years had much lower commodities prices versus, you know, the currently we're using years 2007 through 2011. And we're using 2007 through 2011, those are the 5 years that we're using. 5 and 6 came off. They had the lower commodities prices. So that shifted the percentage even higher when those 2 years came off. Okay, and basically commodities prices have doubled, more than doubled since then. So, you know, that's on the gains side of the productivity formula.
And right now, they're projecting corn to be selling in the $4 a bushel area next year. And that even could possibly hit this. I mean, markets have been going down, and so we could be following.
It is starting to.
We could be falling in the same thing again here coming up.
It's very possible. I don't think that valuations will go down yet. Again, if the prices do go down for the cost of corn and beans, and we do finally pick those years up for the lower commodity prices, it will probably be at least a couple of years down the road, because next year we'll be picking up 2011 and 12, and those were both really good years again also.
But right now, your assessment that just came out, this really takes effect July 1st of 2014, doesn't it? I mean, that's the tax, because they're always a year behind.
The taxes that will be paid on that assessment will be September of 2014.
Right. It starts
and
July
March,
of.
right, and March 2015.
Right.
Yes, that is correct. And let's see, I basically don't really have anything else to give you as far as that goes. There's an article here in the Iowa Farm Bureau Spokesman that does an excellent job of explaining the valuation increase, and goes into a little bit about the productivity formula as well. But again, it's really, what we really need to focus on is the taxable valuation increase. You know, that's what they're going to be paying on, not the assessed valuation increase.
Well, why, well, first of all, how much did residential increase this last year in Mitchell County? I mean, this
I would actually have to go and get my copy. I didn't bring that information with me, Stan.
Well, I'd like you, because that was one of the complaints, and I seen mine went from 142,000 on my residence to 164.
And
which, I mean, I'm not arguing that it shouldn't be that. I'm just wondering why.
And the reason for that was because I had last year 17 sales in Mitchell County, which represented 15% of our overall sales. That showed that our newer construction, our newer houses, we were 15% behind market value. And again, that's on 15% of our overall sales. We're 15% behind. And so I didn't just focus on the brand new houses. I also looked at you know, some of the more desirable subdivisions that are the higher market areas, where properties do tend to sell higher. And you know, there was a clear indication to me that those values needed to come up.
No, I'd be
If you
curious.
didn't do that, then is that where the state steps in and tells you to equalize, or is that an equalization order if you didn't?
Well, what I did was I tried to make the assessments more uniform and consistent with the market. You know, there was indications that some of them really didn't need to change valuations. There was, I mean, really for the most part, we were within the criteria range of the Department of Revenue, with the exception of those higher end or newer construction homes that we were behind on our market.
Well, I would like to see some more of that data, if you wouldn't mind. And in the
Sure.
meantime, we could, Sheila. Sheila, we can take
I'm
Sheila.
sorry, what?
We'll get you out of the way and we'll send you down
Get me
there.
out of the way.
Yeah, get you out of the way, just kind of like an old.
Yeah, I'm used to
whatever.
it. I like that part about
I
it.
mean, you don't bring any more of those karaches or whatever. Yeah, those two.
I'll have to bring you guys, I'm sorry about that.
No problem, no, I'm just kidding.
I just
you.
made a bunch for my sister for Charles City. They had a big meeting yesterday in the city council, so.
Ah,
So she
bribing.
took every
She's
one of
bri-
them.
She's bribing them, huh?
She must be bribing them, I guess, I don't know.
I'll have
But
to
here,
eat.
is that county's budget hearing, was that held?
What's
Their
that?
budget, was that held from the hearing,
Good.
their protest hearing?
Good.
So, yeah.
Well, I know Rick has done a lot of work on
Oh,
that.
yeah, I know.
They weren't trying to,
Heavens, no. No,
How would
no.
Arnie feel about that?
Well,
still sputtering if I know Arnie.
it's too bad. I hate to see it when a former supervisor does things like that, but whatever. Whatever.
And when they've done exactly the same and been in the same
I
position,
know,
you know.
I know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, so, anyway. So we don't have any of those things to worry about with this. Just wanted to give you a case management update. It's been a long time. And the financials, they're all looking about the same. Of course, our ending fund balance is still quite large because we still haven't paid back from the last fiscal year. They are way behind on those actual cost reports. It's been approved actually, but it just takes so long for them to get the payback or whatever it is to be taken care of.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
And you talk a lot about it, the projected cost reports. What makes the difference whether you can be a projected or actual or a come from behind cost report?
Well, I'm not sure how the state code decides on different reports for different agencies, from the state. But for targeted case management, it's a cost-based program they have decided. I think part of it may be because a lot of the services are mandated. Some things have to have a targeted case manager to oversee them. I think that's maybe one of the reasons why it's a cost-based program.
Well, the reason I ask is we got Union County Care, and
Yeah.
now theirs is a,
That's kind of
what kind of a, is it an actual cost report that they have to provide? But then there's no mechanism in that report to offset, say, you know, the dishwasher blew up and we had to buy a new one. So now all of a sudden they've got to find $7,000 somewhere out of the sky. And they can put it in, I don't know if they can put it in the next time around, but, and I know you've always talked, yours is projected, so you can kind of, you know, steer it down the road, you can got a crystal ball and see what's gonna happen.
I know, and a little bit I know, because I used to be the administrator of the Heritage Residence for a few years.
Okay.
And we got started with some services then that I had to do some cost reports as well, but that was waiver services. I know that the care facility is doing an ID waiver, right?
Yep.
I think so.
Yeah.
And it's been quite a while ago, but I just know that you need to, you do the projected as well, then your actual, and for there you have like a certain amount of administrative cost that you're allowed. So you can go up, so you can make a little bit of money actually on it.
Well, they really should be.
Well, and see, a lot of that wasn't administrative, but you can only put in like a certain amount of administrative fees, like a certain percentage, if it was up to 2, 3, 5%, I can't remember, and I'm sure it's changed even since then. And like anything, it's kind of a guessing game, you know, with what's gonna happen, and things do occur sometimes that
Well, it's
you
about
can't
that,
predict.
the cost report I
Yeah,
got from out
that
there.
could be.
And
They have Bob Williams do it for
Yes.
them?
Yes.
Okay.
But to me, they leave out too many things. I mean, for one thing, they're supposed to be standalone. Well, that care facility's not free. You know, I mean, they should be paying the county, just like they're running a business. They should be leasing the building. There's nothing in the cost report for leasing. And maybe
Well,
we
the
need.
county owns it though, right?
Mhm.
And
Well,
manages it, or?
But they're standalone. They're not, and they really shouldn't even have a budget within our budget, if that's the way that's gonna be run. Because a lot of the counties leased out their care facilities to private individuals to run.
Right. Right, and I think that's when you lease it, when it's a different, a private
It
individual.
used to be
and-
part of the general fund, and then Bob Lincoln took it out, now put it back in.
Right. Oh, he did put it back in?
I think so, isn't it? It's back in.
Well, Barb's got a line for it because, crap, when they run out of money, somebody's gotta pay the bills. You know, and I just think
It's very confusing, those cost reports are very
it should
confusing.
be one or the other,
Well, yeah,
you know, but it's all Medicaid.
yeah, I know, yeah, but it's different for facilities, I know, than for the targeted case management.
Yeah.
And,
I think, I'm sorry to get off the track.
Thank
No,
goodness
I
for
just-
a waiver,
but
that
I know
helps a
that-
little.
Yeah.
But you gotta be on top of that or have it, so.
Well, I do know that their county rate was increased as well, which it should
Right,
have been,
yeah.
their rate was very, very low.
Well, maybe
And-
they were worried it was too high.
Oh, no, well,
couldn't see
no,
that.
I mean, it's a little bit higher, but still, that's,
That was
you
a
know, when
pretty
you
good-
have just 16 beds, that's what the state, that's what everybody's going to. And I know Hampton, in fact, we're having a meeting this week or next week on that because they're 35 beds and they're gonna go back to 15 beds. And they're getting more places in the community, but they're gonna have to increase their rate as well because, you know, you can't bill a, you know, you have to bill a higher rate if you're gonna have to have the staff and that kind of thing, and you have to have the residents there. And they'll be able to access the Medicaid funding too, which most of it comes out of Medicaid, but there's still a few people who will have the 100% county if they don't have the Medicaid, so.
Talk about bringing them into private or into the cities and have their own facility inside of, say, like in Osage versus staying out there.
Well, the ideal thing would be is for them to have a house,
Yeah,
to rent a house,
have a
so the
fourplex
clients
or
would,
something.
right, would rent a house, then you can have 24-hour services, the staff in there 24 hours a day, or some are 16 hours a day, or some are just hourly.
Mhm.
We have enough people in the house, and I mean, there's lots of different ways to do that. I think a lot of them are, the larger ones are going that route. Mitchell County won't have to because they're already at that lower amount where they can access that Medicaid funding, and they're safe with that.
And some of the residents do go and work at comp systems in Floyd County, but then there are some that are there 24 hours a day too.
Right, right, and it's the same thing that they could reach too, not all of them.
Yeah, Bering County down there, John Finney was telling at the Heartland meeting that they had a county care, and I think it was 36 beds, and it went belly up in December. And they had leased it to a private company.
Now it's all back.
Now it falls back to the county, now they're trying to find somebody to take it over again.
Well, it's gonna be tough, because that's, you know, the Heritage, it's the same thing too. I mean, it's a beautiful building, and you don't want those buildings to just sit there and be empty. You're never gonna get the money out of them, like the county said, it'd be $1 million, but we'll never get $1 million out of it, you know. There is a facility in Decorah as well, in RCF, and they were given a month's notice to give people help, and close it. Because financially, they weren't making it, so.
Who gave them the notice?
Huh?
Who gave them the notice, Sheriff?
Yeah, administrator, yeah, it was kind of a, I mean.
Well, I mean, these are things we gotta look at going forward, because if they can't be on standalone, they can't maintain the building, what are we gonna do? I mean,
I'm thinking, Joel, with their rate, because their rate just went up, was it just a
Right.
couple months ago?
we
You
see
guys
how that
approved it.
works out.
I mean, I'm thinking that will help to keep it going, you know, I don't know what the financials are, but that was a very good, you know, positive move in the right direction.
Next time they go through that cost report, I'd like to be there, because
Well, and you should talk to Bob Williams about it, he's done
Even
cost
now.
reports, yeah.
transportation, they're hauling them all over the place, but they're getting nothing for transportation.
Yeah, well, and see, and that's something too, there's different line items, they can
Yeah.
give a little bit of stuff out or whatever.
And so-
But the thing is that I'm a really big believer that we do need some of our facilities for some of the people. Some people just cannot make it out in the community, and the cost is so much more expensive in the community sometimes than your RCF. And I'm a believer everybody has a right to live in the community, you know, and as normal of a life as you and I. However, I still feel there's also a need for some of the larger facilities.
That's a beautiful setting out there.
It is, love it. I love going out there.
You know, it's just peace and quiet and,
People have been out there for many years, so.
Yeah.
well, and the thing of it is, it's rural. You know, and a lot of these folks are
Exactly.
rural, you know, and it's just kind of like home.
Listen to the pheasants on our 80 acres.
There ain't any pheasants left.
Well, I've
Yes,
seen a
sir.
few, I've seen a
The
few.
skunks ate them all. Oh, Randy, quit feeding the skunks. They're not cats. Well, they had skunks come right up to the back there, you know, and Randy was telling about it one day. I said, well, quit feeding them, they won't come out of there.
They're hungry too.
Yeah.
Well, if you eat the pheasants, they shouldn't be hungry.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I ran out.
But it is beautiful out there, and I always feel very welcomed. I always enjoy going out there for meetings with clients because it's.
Well, I'm trying to get us off the track, but.
No, I mean, there's gonna be more changes coming down too, you know, with the redesign and all that kind of, sorry, see, here I am still talking, so they got to get me in and out, but
That's
they
all right.
forget I like to talk. So, anyway, so getting back on track.
The apple doesn't fall too far from the trees, do they?
I know, I've been told that, Stan.
Yeah, you got a sister that likes to say.
Oh, funny. So anyway, so with the case management right now, we're sitting okay financially. There's been no big, you know, expenses, knock on wood or anything, but you know, we're not a real big program to really have any big things. We've had to get a couple of new computers, but that's kind of the main part of it. So that's that. Another things I wanted to share with you, and we're doing the 20th meeting, Joel, Rick, and I, just us two, and that's next, when is it again? I bring my calendar with me.
We were looking, I thought it was today.
Is it today? Okay, it is today, then it probably is today, I can check it for this afternoon. Okay, so it's today, then we're gonna meet in Charles City,
Right.
and kind of go over all that, the bylaws and that, and see if we can come up with some decisions or whatever
I
on
think you
that.
can. I just looked at it again this morning, and you know, if everybody's on the same page and agreeing, it should be a very simple process.
Right. I think so too. I've had different counties too call, and they're combining county case management, and I've talked about, well, you know, do you want to stay with your own county? But it's kind of funny, nope, they want to just have one county be the employer. I said, well, you know, whatever, so,
Well,
it's
a lot less
interesting.
paperwork.
Huh?
A lot less
It
paperwork.
is, it absolutely is, right, yeah, and it saves administrative costs that way too, but anyway, so. So we'll do that then, and also, once we get that talked about, we will need to approve some advisory board members. We have found a couple of clients, we really wanted to get some more clients on the advisory board. We've had a couple who just don't attend, so we have a couple I think will be very active. So we'll have to get all those approved, we'll just do a telephone conference for that, okay? And then the projected cost report, I want to get that done soon, so we can get that approved and down to the state too. I've had it with me like for 2 weeks, I just haven't had time to get started on it, so I may have to take it home and do it all at home.
Okay, there we go back to cost reports. Are they
Yeah.
all due at the same time?
Well, ours are all, they have to be in by June 30th.
Okay,
They want ours in by the 1st of June.
okay.
And I'd like to get mine in even sooner if I can, because then we'll for sure have our rate. Because our rate has got to be approved and put into the system before we can bill for it.
Right.
And I don't want to not be able to bill just in case. So that's why I like to get mine done earlier than some, maybe.
You're probably right. I think they are all due
Yeah.
June 30th.
And then the actual cost reports have to be in by September 30th for the fiscal year before, so. Some changes I really wanted to share with you. I shared with Chickasaw too and met with them. Health homes. This is something that's from the Affordable Care Act. And like there's medical health homes that have been going for quite a while, probably a year I'm guessing. Mason City has several. But the integrated specialized health homes for the mentally ill people are starting July 1st in Iowa. Magellan is the company that the state contracts with to provide all the services for Medicaid people with chronic mental illness, and they do the substance abuse as well. They are the agency who are going to be doing the health homes. If anyone is enrolled in a health home, then they will receive their case coordination through the health home. They cannot have targeted case management, it's a duplication of service. At first, we were told that people could opt out of the health home, but no more. They will be enrolled in the health home, they have to be in the health home. If they don't want their case coordination, they can do it themselves, but they cannot have a targeted case manager. There's gonna be 3 different phases. The first phase is like 5 larger counties, Polk, Warren, Scott, Dubuque, I can't think of all of them. And then phase 2, that will start July 1st, and they'll transition all of it, so by the end of December 31st, then all the people in that first phase will be transitioned from targeted case management to the health home care coordination. Then January 1st through July 31st of 2014 will be phase 2. Mitchell County's in that phase. And the way they're doing it, I think, is like in comparison to to the mental health centers. A lot of them will probably be the integrated health home for these services. So Mitchell County will be in phase 2.
You said December 1st through.
That will start January 1st through July 31st. And then Chickasaw County will be in the 3rd phase, and that starts July 1st to 14th through December 31st. So in our caseload, it will be our children as well. We have some children who are on the child's mental health waiver. So we added up, it'll be about 30 clients that we presently have. And we billed for 139 this last month. However, we've been getting a lot of new referrals, many new referrals. For the girls' caseloads are getting pretty high. And a couple months ago, we had a meeting. One of the girls said, so when are we going to think about hiring another case manager? Because we are getting lots of referrals that could have warranted that. But we had a good staff meeting, and I just explained to them with health homes coming up. And I said, the way it sounds, we're going to be losing some people, and now for sure we are. And they all were very agreeable to it, and they're working very, very hard. But their caseloads are going to be a little bit higher, but we are not going to hire a case manager because we would just have to probably lay them off, in a year and a half or 2 years, and I'm just not going to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And everybody.
So if the mental healths are gonna take over the case management of these particular individuals, you couldn't provide that service for the mental health?
Well, I don't know, that might be a
Are they
possibility.
gonna have to go out and hire a case manager per se?
Well,
Are they, they're gonna have to be looking at hiring staff then,
to oversee it.
oversee it?
Right,
or
and I'm not sure what their reimbursement is going to be. At first, we
Okay.
heard there's gonna be like maybe $12 for somebody, like say if I had depression, I'm just on antidepressant, I see the psychiatrist every 3 months, I'm very, very stable. Then they might get $12 a month for me. Then you have somebody, they have like 3 or 4 different levels. The highest would be like $78 a month. And that would be somebody who's pretty, sick, hospitalized, needs lots of services. But now I've heard they're just gonna give them like a monthly fee, maybe $340, just to oversee all of this, the care and all of that. So I'm not sure what the pay is gonna be, how they're gonna do all of that. If they even haven't decided yet. And of course, it's all being rolled out July 1st, usual thing. They have all these changes and things going down, and, nobody's really for sure how it's gonna look.
And no plan.
No, I know, it's kind of frustrating. So,
Interesting times, I guess.
it is. And I mean, if it's gonna save money, that's great. I could see down the road, some of the more severe and chronic ones, just through targeted case management, they get more services through that, and plus it's more local, with that. But, we'll see. Maybe it'll change, maybe it won't. So, I could see them down the road, some of the people, they would say, yep, they need a targeted case management because they just are more critical, but we'll see. But it will be affecting us down the road. But I just wanted to share, if you see the case managers or whatever, but they've really been very agreeable and good and about accepting all this extra work and haven't complained a little bit, but not much at all. So, just with some tougher days. And of course, Megan is pregnant. She's probably gonna have her baby the 1st of August. So we've been talking about that as well, because we all divide up all the duties and while she's gone, and everybody's just really been good. We've just been having good communications about it. So, and I think everybody's pretty much on board. The girls in OSH came and talked to me last week, just kind of worried, because it's going to be different, but we had some very good talks, so the staff's been good. So yeah, I think that's about all I really wanted to share with you. So, you guys have any questions of me, or?
And did you have an extra pay period in November?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever it's higher like that, we have the extra pay period.
I
Yeah.
just called that.
Yeah. I think we maybe have another one, maybe in May, is our second one.
Just kind of answered my own question.
That's always good because you don't get all those health insurance things, it's a bigger paycheck.
The third one, Chuck's a great one.
Huh?
The third one's usually a big
It's
one.
awesome,
There's
I
no
know.
insurance sticking out of the third one.
Especially if you forget about it, it's like, oh my God. I get a
Well,
good
thank you
raise.
kindly, appreciate it.
Anyway,
Yep.
you're welcome,
Thanks,
thank you.
Sheila.
I'll bring Pilates the next time.
No, that's not necessary.
Put that on the agenda, will you?
Probably one.
That's what I was thinking, I got it on the calendar.
You know, I have like 2 or 3 things in my calendar,
you
Joel,
said-
because we kept scheduling
I
it.
know it.
And I saw it was
It was
today, but
Thursday, and
then,
it was
but
Friday, and
next week I have it in ink. So I was gonna ask you when it was, so it is today. I'll give Rick,
Pretty sure it is.
I'll go outside and call Rick to be sure it
Yeah,
is.
you do that,
because-
if it's wrong, I don't wanna do it all by myself.
Well, you wouldn't, I'd be there with you.
Oh, I'll go out lunch.
I'll call Rick real quick, but assume it is today unless you hear back from
Okay,
me
all right,
at 3C, right?
yes.
Gotcha. Hey, thanks a lot. See you guys.
Okay, so you were wanting to know about the increase per class of property?
Kinda curious, yeah.
For valuations, absolutely. And this one, of course, is to be expected with the agricultural land and structures. I already went over this with you.
Right.
The increase from this year to last year, or this year from last year, is 49% overall. And again, that's the land and outbuildings. And as I explained, I believe that taxable increase will be about 13%. And just so you're aware, if I hadn't gone ahead and put that increase on the land and the outbuildings, the state would have done it for me.
Mhm.
You know, there really is no choice there.
Right.
Okay. The residential dwellings that are located on agricultural realty, because we still have to assess the house as at market value, so we have that separated. So that would be a 5% increase, but there were actually, just a side note, there were actually 15 new homes that were built, you know, as part of that 5% increase. That does include 15 new homes.
So is that taxable increase, or is that,
Well, yeah, this is for the 2013 assessment year.
So they-
I don't have the actual rollbacks from the state for 2013. No, nobody does at this time.
okay.
So we don't know what the taxable increase
Do you have
will
any,
be.
is the state giving you any guesstimates of?
No. I would have to know what value increases, you know, were per each county, kind of average out that percentage, and I just don't have that information. The only reason I'm able to do that with that agriculturally is because I know that the statewide average increase was 42%.
Mhm.
So therefore I can calculate what I can estimate the rollback to be. But with residential property, I don't know what that increase
Sure.
is.
So the assessment is 5% higher.
5% higher on the assessment. Again, I don't know what the rollback will be, so I don't know what the taxable, if it, you know, it could be an increase or a decrease, I don't know, depending upon the rollback.
Right.
So on the 15 new homes, so then
Yes.
you have to take the value of those, right?
Yes.
And that plays on the,
Well, that's part of the increase.
Right.
Right, that is part
So
of the
if
increase.
they're
of-
building $300,000 homes, that suddenly now homes in the Mitchell County are.
Yeah, well, that is part of the increase in the valuation, is that there were 15 new homes included in that 5% increase. And now, if we look at just residential, this is strictly residential property, that would be a 2% increase. So again, you know, those higher end homes that I did try to get up to what I felt the market value should be, and I have this, I'm sorry I didn't bring more copies, you guys can pass that around. If you want one, I can give you one. Up here again, you can see that our mean ratio, or our average ratio on those newer homes was up, we were 15% behind. And again, that was out of 17 sales countywide, which accounted for almost 15% of the overall sales. And so that, you know, that was what indicated to me that those needed to come up. But again, a 2% increase in residential realty, 2%, and that would include 26 new homes. Okay, so now on the commercial realty, we had an 8% increase. And that would be, you know, there were different things there, but a lot of remodeling and addition projects on the commercial realty. Not a whole lot of big projects, but there was some increases there. And then on the industrial realty, we had an increase of 29% from the prior year. Now keep in mind that's adding additional value from the wind towers. A to Z had some new construction. Of course, the Valent plant, we're assessing that for the first time, a partial value because it's not completed. So the Valent plant would be a partial valuation. So that's where that 29% came from for the industrial.
Green North keeps expanding.
They didn't actually have any expansion for 2000 and, well, they didn't do any expansion in 2012 that we would have assessed for 2013. However, they are beginning another phase of construction this year, which will go on for 2014.
So the industrial, what did that, what was the actual dollars from 2011 or 12, whatever it is, for 2011 to 2012?
Okay.
I guess is what it.
Does anyone have a calculator handy? Because I have it separated between the townships and the cities, and I would have to add those two figures together. You want to know what the dollar amount of increase would be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just roughly. I mean, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. So it'd be approximately 34 million, approximately 34 million.
Okay, the industrial property went up about 34 million.
Mm-hmm, that is correct, approximately.
Okay, so that is really substantial then.
It is substantial, but that's all due to construction. I didn't do any revaluation of industrial property. That is all new construction.
So if the rollbacks basically stay the same, we should see then, if we don't have to have much of an increase in taxes, we should see the levy go down.
Well, industrial and commercial property currently don't have a rollback.
Okay.
So their assessed valuation is their taxable value.
So if we can hold the line on the budget, basically, then the levy should be going
The
down
levy
with that type of.
could absolutely go down.
Because that's basically 5%
Right.
of our total taxable valuation, isn't
Right.
it, that 34 million increase?
Right, and again, just to stress, that is all new construction. I didn't revalue any industrial property. That was all due to new construction and additional value from the wind towers that we had picked up. Yeah, the levy could certainly go down, you know, when this becomes current for the taxable value.
Don't spread that around yet.
Wow. Stan said it first.
Yeah, but that's a year from this coming September, so I mean, by that time they'll forget what you said.
Well, yeah, and like I said, commercial and industrial, they don't get a rollback. That assessed valuation is their taxable value.
So what determines a commercial property versus a, I mean, I know, but.
Market value for
No,
commercial.
but I mean, like, Main Street properties, they are all commercial properties, I'm assuming. If it's in a
Yes.
commercial district, that they're.
Well, we don't really, we don't have anything to do with how it's zoned.
Okay,
It's what it's being used for.
okay.
And so if it's not being used to produce a product, then it's gonna be commercial or retail
Okay.
classification. And if it's being used to produce or manufacture a product, then it's going to be classed as industrial.
So the candle operation is an industrial operation.
Well, actually, I don't have it assessed as such, because the candle you're talking about here in the plaza,
Right.
the plaza overall is a retail structure, and it's under one ownership, so
Okay,
we don't.
well, let's put it differently. Let's say they had their own building, and they're just producing these little candles, and they also have a retail outlet there. Is that then industrial, or is that commercial?
Commercial.
I would assume it would probably be more of a commercial use.
Okay, just curious. I mean,
yeah.
not that it matters.
Yeah,
You know, the government, or not the governor, well, they want the governor too, they all want this 40% reduction in property tax for industrial and commercial. Well, I went online the other day and I just know a few places on Main Street here, which have a store, and then they have their residents above. Well, I looked at, and they're paying 100% on their taxable value, whatever. They're paying half of what I'm paying on my house.
well,
And
and,
then that's revenue producing.
right.
So now they want to give those folks a 40% reduction?
Well, there's a couple of different ways of looking at that. I guess I hadn't really thought of the person that's actually living in the apartment
Well,
above the
I
retail.
know two of them that are pretty nice apartments.
Right, but yet, dollar for dollar, if you were to compare, the assessed valuation versus the taxable valuation, they're paying on 100% of their assessment, whereas
Residential.
residential is paying on approximately 50%. And
Yes, but the guy, unless he's renting out that third bedroom, he's not making a dime on his house.
right.
The guy uptown in Main Street, either he's renting out the store portion below
Right,
and living above.
if he's smart.
Well,
Or you put somewhere else and renting that.
There's
Or,
the income.
or, right,
No,
or he's
there's that
renting the
too.
upper floor as income, and,
so I'm trying to figure this all out. It's just another big, like Dean always says, just another shift to the residential folks.
right,
And
and
you can
that
color
is
it.
what it will be, anytime any class, gets a cut, it's gonna shift the tax burden someplace
that.
else, so.
If that commercial property on Main Street's gonna want that fire department there, but maybe we ought to just send about 40% less firefighters. Because, that's what I'm seeing. I mean,
Put
I
that-
told Josh up there that.
Put that in
last-
your letter to the editor
Well, I
next week.
said, the whole tax thing needs to be relooked at. You
Yeah.
can't be tying residential to the ag, and the ag to, things change over 100 years, and
And why are all these ag and not commercial?
and that's true too.
Which is those?
Hog or the
Hog confinement.
confinement building.
Oh,
You know,
right,
that-
right,
When
absolutely.
you have a corporation in Illinois owning all these hog facilities in Iowa and getting the same breaks as
As the
the
farmer.
little Iowa
Mhm.
farmer,
Right,
while they're out ruining all our roads and
mhm,
polluting everything in sight.
Yeah.
Big operation.
And they get the break, they should be commercial.
Mhm.
And the Farm Bureau fights that to the tooth and nail, they don't want it to be commercial.
no, they don't,
But
and, that's
that's wrong.
That's
Very wrong.
government. You have your lobbyists and you
Yeah.
have your politicians.
Yeah.
It's
So-
unfortunate.
That's why I'm an elected official.
There you go.
Well, anyway,
Paid
it's,
for.
it's good conversation, and, but
Yeah, talk to your legislature.
I would assume, since
Might as well
you
talk to the
came
wall.
out to the new assessments, you had to change watering holes, get a little further away.
I haven't, I've actually, haven't had anyone real confrontational, have you?
No, they just called up and said, what the hell's going on here?
Right,
the
right.
lady brought it over, and mine had ended up in her mailbox, and so I said, well, that's all right, you pay it then. She gave it to me anyway, and she said, I wasn't too happy with mine, she goes, and I says, well, it is what it is, and
Well, when some people have been on that rebate program and all of a sudden it's off, and then it goes up.
yeah,
They
Yeah,
gotta realize
there's-
that.
yeah.
There's that also, yeah.
I don't think they ought to do them myself, the tax abatement thing, I just think that's,
I have a question on,
Yes.
how are these CAFOs taxed, these somebody goes out here and builds a new hog confinement or cattle confinement building, I know they're probably in the 600 to $750,000 building.
You're talking about a
How are they, how are
confinement?
they taxed? Hog or those?
Okay,
That
well,
building, it's an egg building, how is that?
right, well,
How do you figure how
what
that's-
happens is we get the building information. And it's gonna be based on square footage, and we're gonna price it out of our manual, which comes from the Department of Revenue, which is based on replacement cost new. So, we're gonna try to come in as close to their cost of construction as possible. Because, that's where the manual
I
is
think-
supposed to be.
I think the last one I saw built was $640,000.
Right, right. Okay, but then, after that, then you have your ag factor. Now, the ag factor is that productivity formula, but the portion that's applied to the buildings.
Mhm. So,
because they're not based on market value and they're based on productivity, they get a percentage, I guess you could call it a physical depreciation, call it that. I mean, that's not really what it is. But it's because they're not market value, they're based on productivity, and again, that percentage has to be divided up between the land and the agricultural buildings. So there's an ag factor that's applied, so out of their total assessed valuation, let's say 46% of that is going to be assessed, okay? And then you would add the rollback on top of that. So now you have
so
your,
they only have 46% is being assessed,
And you get the rollback.
and then they get the rollback.
and then the rollback is
I'll take that.
45%.
We're estimating. The rollback currently is 60%.
So you subtract the 46% off first and then roll back another 60?
Yes, that is
Yes.
correct.
Boy, I'm in the wrong business.
So if
That
I
is
put a couple
correct.
chickens in the house, can I call mine a capo? Get the same.
Call it whatever you want.
Get the 46%.
You just about down to $320,000.
That is correct.
And then you
Bob.
take 60% of that,
Right.
you're down to about $120,000 assessed value on a $640,000 building,
Yeah, yeah.
more or less.
Then you got all the people in the area that put up with all the stink.
Yeah, well, our legislature don't want to do anything about that.
A lot of those people build them, but they don't put them on their own where they live.
Start fertilizing their lawns with that stuff and they might change their mind.
Now, did you take off 60% or did you leave it at 60%? Because
I guess you
the
got
60% would be taxable.
You got 640% or $640,000 building, you say
Right.
there's only 46% of that's assessed.
Right, is
So
assessed,
that's
right?
less, that'd
So
be
what
about
do you
what,
come up with?
I got
300,000?
176,000.
That's about 300,000, I'm just guessing. You got
Oh,
the
okay,
calculator.
okay, all right, all
All right.
right. So, yeah,
So how much, the assessed value on that would be 176,000?
the taxable value, not the
Okay.
assessed value, the
And the
taxable.
levy, so they,
It's
They'd
a
be-
complicated mess.
they'd be
but-
paying less tax on that, although it's income producing.
And also keep
than I
in
would on
mind
my
that,
home.
keep in mind that the
Manure is
manure
permitted.
pit, the concrete manure pit, they can file for an exemption on that as well through the DNR, and then that becomes 100% exempt for the existence of the building. So that manure pit is never taxed. If they
So then the
file,
value of that manure pit's not taxed.
that is correct. That is correct.
What, you had some pretty
Build a
good-
CAFO and move in. Then if I'm not producing anything, I shouldn't pay any tax. How about that?
It's the American way.
Wow.
I don't make the laws.
No, no, you just gotta work with all this stuff.
Yeah,
I'm just curious how that goes, because I had somebody ask me about that.
That's-
And it was a landowner who does own land up in the northeast part of the county.
that
He
is-
just asked, and I didn't know how to explain it to him.
Yeah, that is,
So you take the 46% off, and then 60% of it is taxed.
that is correct.
You don't subtract another 60?
No, you don't
Okay.
subtract another 6.
Okay. just so I have it right, I'll explain it to him.
Anything else for?
No, we're really confused now.
Tony?
I know.
Wouldn't mind picking up one of those.
Absolutely, I will certainly be more than happy to give you one of these. And these figures were from last year's values, just showing that the assessment last year was, and you can see the rest of the figures here are really not bad at all. I know this one down here at the bottom does say 141, but that was one sale. That was only one sale. And we're not going to be on the money every time, I mean, certainly. But when you have a higher group of sales like this, that 17 sales, which represents 15% of the total, and we're only at 85% market value, you know, I needed to do something there. The other biggest percentage of sales we have grouped together here is this 30 sales. And those 30 sales, we were at 101%. I mean, you just can't get any better than that, so.
And so if they're less than 100, they need to come up. If they're
Well,
over
we can
100,
be within plus or minus 5%. So we could be anywhere from 95 to 105, and we're still fine as far as an equalization order is concerned. We're okay as long as we're within those criteria.
But basically, for the total residents of Mitchell County, the lesson here again today to be learned is if we can attract industry to the county for what they pay for taxes, greatly helps the rest of us in proportion. I mean,
especially the residentials, absolutely.
so when we're paying to have an economic developer, and that overall for the county, that is cheap.
Mm-hmm.
When you start to look at the amount of increase that we are receiving.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually,
Yeah,
Right.
but I mean,
because most of the industry's in TIF districts.
but still,
Yeah. No, I'm not saying
Yeah.
anything against that, I mean, because eventually it will not be in a TIF
yeah,
district.
that might help to hold down the cost of your nursing home when you're there 20 years.
I'm not going.
So, and all this information I have, you know, is all public and
Sure.
so it's all available in the office there too, so.
Well, thank
okay.
you,
Yeah.
Yep,
appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
Yep, thanks, Amy.
That'll be a 20-minute lecture anyway.
Well, let's see, manure plans updates, so
Okay, six of them.
Give that spokesman.
We've got,
Oh, absolutely, it's
But I would
really,
love
it's a really great article.
Very, very
You're
much.
welcome so much. Is that enough? I have more.
Thank you.
Yes,
That's
you're
Jamestown and
welcome.
Howard County, and we're probably placed there. We've got Garden in section 6 of Howard Township. Those three are owned by Jim Koenig's. You've got Lipson Tip 3 Finisher Farm in section 22 of Union, owned by Iowa Select Farms. You've got Cooper Cattle in section 17 of Mitchell Township, owned by Dane Cooper. And you have a new confinement operation for the egg wash water structure, owned by with Osage River City Egg, owned by Ron McDonough and Mark Zorzi.
So noted. Item C, Mitchell County EDC audit. Is there anything that you want to?
No, it was a clean audit. Just need to have actions that
Right.
we audit to the board and
Okay, and
and
then,
that audit cost $3,070.
well, that isn't quite as bad as it was the time before, 6,000 or something.
did your-
Burn
Renner.
Renner.
Or some of those, I
How
mean,
many dollars do you handle?
Last year it was about 170,000.
Well, that's all a racket. I know, FMC ECI, they have about $383,000 budget, and it cost them $2,500, and they were complaining about that. It was about double what they budgeted for.
We signed a contract for the next 2 years, and
So it really isn't any cheaper going with somebody else.
4,200 he said, but if it's, comes in less, we'll pay less. And so you don't get a
Yeah.
thing like that. I mean, I think last year was like 40, I think it was 4,200 last year, and this year it's only 37.
Yeah, but on a $100,000
Fine.
budget, that's unreal.
No, last year, that's what it was. It was $111,000.
Unreal.
Anyway.
We'll stand in recess until 11 o'clock. Let's meet out at county care.
11 o'clock at County Fair.
Wanna be